Welcome here to Pisces Pet Emporium. I'm Norm and I'm here to introduce you to Kyle. He's one of our fish room managers and he's the dude that brings in the live plants for you to aquascape your aquarium at home. This week we're going to show you a spec aquarium 5-gallon, and we're also going to feature some ADA products in here, most specifically their substrate program. So I'm going to turn it over to Kyle, our fish room guru, our plant master, and he's going to take it from here and show you the steps on how to be successful in setting up your planted aquarium. Kyle, over to you.
Okay, so the first step that we're going to do is we're going to start laying down our ADA power sand medium. With this power sand, it's going to give you a nice layer on the bottom to allow your natural bacteria to break down wastes from your fish and plant matter, and giving a good oxygenating layer for your roots to grow in the bottom here. So we'll start with laying a nice thin layer on the bottom, making sure it's even all the way across the tank. As you're doing this, just level it out. Make sure a lot of these larger rocks in here are spread out and not clumped in to one area. You don't need a lot of this, just enough to give you about 1 centimeter to 2 centimeters of depth. That looks good, just like that. Once that's finished, I'm just going to start adding in some of my more decorative rocks so that they don't move on top of the gravel that I place in afterwards, as well as my nice decorative little tree. Let's get that in there. A couple of small rocks underneath to help keep it level and in the spot that you want it. And some larger ones to help build up the actual scenery that you want your tank to look like. After this is all complete, we're going to add in our ADA 5 elements to help with nitrifying underneath your soil bed. That's the next step. With all ADA products, we have an ADA book. Make sure you pick up this book if you ever do come into the store. Okay, step 2 in our setup of our 5-gallon spec will be to add our 5 elements here. First 5 elements we're going to add is a Bacter 100. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to put 1 scoop and we're going to put it inside this small cup and put them all in one so that we can sprinkle it throughout the tank evenly. So we'll start with our Bacter 100, 1 scoop. Then we'll start 2nd scoop of clear super. Third, we'll put tourmaline BC in. Then our Penac P. Penac P. And lastly, the W. So I'll mix these guys all up in our mixing cup. We'll sprinkle it throughout the tank evenly. So that we're covering all of our gravel. Once that's done, you can start to add your soil. We're going to use the ADA Malaya Aqua Soil for a base. for our plants to sit on top of. After that, we're going to use the powder to fill in so that the plants can grow through them. The next step, we'll be filling our tank with the aqua soil. So I'm just going to use a small cup to scoop the soil out so I'm not dumping the bag, and then I can kind of use it and regulate how much is going in certain areas so I don't have to level it too much at the end. So I'm just trying to get a certain effect of the rocks poking up through the gravel to make it look a little bit more natural. Reaching all the small cracks and crevices. You can brush off anything that's sitting where you don't want it afterwards. Just use your hand. Now this is just a base for our plants to sit on, and so we can place them where we want them in the tank. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build up this gravel higher towards the base of this small kind of bonsai tree that I'm making here, so that it looks like it's set upon a hilltop, and more of these roots are coming and sticking out so it looks more natural. Almost there. Get this side up. Once you get it to a point where you're kind of happy with it, because we're going to put some of the powder on top to allow the plants to grow through that powder. This is just our base. All right, last cup full. All right, that looks good. Next step, we're going to add our plants in before we put our powdered soil on top. So I'm going to be using Liliopsis, and I'm just going to be placing it where I want it to actually be in the tank, and just kind of pressing it down in spot. This Liliopsis just comes in a small cup in a round like this. What I've done is I've actually cut it into small strips so that I can place it and move it around different pieces of rock and wood in the tank to get the look I'm trying to achieve of some nice grass. So all you do is just take a regular pair of scissors and just cut them into small strips so that they're easier to place where you want them. Around rocks, pieces of wood, logs, all sorts. Once you have everything kind of placed where you want it, you can go ahead and start filling with the powder. So, same idea with the powder as the aqua soil. Just sprinkle it on top of your plants and where you want it to be. I'm just going to use a thin layer in certain spots because I'm just trying to cover the aqua soil and the plants a bit. Looks good. Next step we'll do will be tying our moss. Next step we'll be doing will be tying our moss onto our wood with our moss cotton from ADA. And after that, we're going to use the wood tight to make sure that my top piece that I have here is secure to my bottom piece. So what we'll do is pull our moss cotton out. And I'm just going to take this out so it's easier to work with. What I'm going to do is take a little bit of moss and spread it out over top some of the branches so it gives a nice little look like that. So just keep adding moss into the branches. Once you have it how you want it, we'll go over it with some of the actual cotton moss tie. You can drape it over top to kind of give it like a canopy effect of a nice bonsai tree is what we're kind of going for here. All I'm really doing is just shredding a bunch of this. This is willow moss. You can use Java moss or Christmas moss as well. I just find willow moss is going to be giving me the type of effect I really want. Ooh. So once you have that where you want it, take your cotton, and this cotton will actually deteriorate over time. So you will see it at first, but after a while it will disappear after the moss is actually rooted onto the piece of wood. So I'm just wrapping it around to hold it in place. Just working my way from one side to the other on this piece of wood, in and out of small cracks and crevices, weaving it in and around. So my moss is falling off here. Let's put it back up there. That piece back on the end. Wrap that on. Whoa. Wedge that. Hold that there. There we go. So I'm just going to go over and back and forth with this cotton to make sure that it's secured, tight, and when I fill the tank it's not just going to float off my piece of wood. Doesn't look the best now, but once this moss starts to grow and fill in and grow towards the light, it's going to look like a nice treetop. Let's get this going. All right. Don't really have to tie a knot in this stuff because it's going to just kind of hold on its own. But what I'm going to do is come to the end of it, down here at the tip. Take a bite off. Just tie it in a small little knot. So that it's secure and not going to go anywhere. There we go. So there's our moss on our piece of wood to make it look like a kind of a tree top. The next step will be placing it where I want it. Let's find that hole again. And what I'm going to use to keep that secured is the wood tight. It's got its own little spool that it's on and its own little cutter, so you're not pulling scissors out. Measure a little bit here. You don't need a lot. Cut that off. What we're going to do is we're going to go in and weave it in and around some of the holes here to make sure that it's tied tight in spot. Just double check how it's working. Wrap it around there. And wrap it underneath and around. Nice and tight. That should hold it secure so that it doesn't float up and off the actual tank. Next step, we're going to fill it up with some water and get this thing running.